This is a forest ranger. He's called Dick. And that's Bruce. He's 3 years old. And that's his friend Len. They live in Canada, which is a large country a long way away. Most of Canada is covered in tall trees and deep lakes. In the spring, they drive along the trail, exploring deep into the forest. They take a canoe with them so they can paddle across the lakes, keeping a sharp eye open for any animals that live on the banks. A canoe is a boat. It's long and very light and can carry a heavy load. It's easy to paddle through the water. They often see strange and interesting things as they paddle along, like that pile of sticks and mud. Looks a bit higgledy-piggledy, doesn't it? But it's not. It's a house. A big house with rooms, and it's surrounded by water. Wonder who it belongs to. Over there, look. That's the owner, having a swim. It's a beaver. Perhaps he'll go into his house. Wonder where the door is. There. He's dived. For his front door, because it's under the water. That's a good way to keep strangers out. Not far from the beaver's house is his workshop. That's where he cuts up branches and trees that he's dragged down from the forest. Then he strips off the bark and leaves with his sharp teeth. Look at those teeth marks. Next, he takes the bark and leaves past his house to his pantry, which looks just like a cluster of old twigs sitting in the water. But it's his food store, and he keeps it well stocked with juicy leaves. There's nothing like a fresh leaf for breakfast. See, he's using his fingers to push the leaf into his mouth. Beavers also like wild fruit. Look at the long nails he's got. These are his ears, tucked back into his fur. And his feet have got nails, and the toes are joined together with skin. Can you see? They help him push through the water, like a paddle. His nose is very good at sniffing, and he can smell things a long way off. There he goes, having a swim. Beavers dig long ditches from the lake way into the forest so they can stay in the water for as long as possible when they go collecting wood. Here's one, just come out of the lake. He's waddling through the forest. His coat looks all soft and furry now that it's dry. His nostrils are open now, but they close up when he's underwater. That keeps the water out. Clever, isn't it? It's not easy getting off a log. This beaver is a young one. He probably has 2 or 3 brothers and sisters back at the beaver's house. There's his tail. It's flat, and he uses it to steer through the water. He also uses it as a shovel for carrying mud when he's house building. Off he goes, back to the house. He'll probably dive under the water to get there. Plop. Along the edge of the lake, lilies and tall reeds grow in the water. Swish. Swish. The reeds make a fine place to hide in. Can you see anything? There, in the reeds. It's a bird, searching for food in the thick undergrowth. It's called a red-winged blackbird because it has beautiful colors on its wings, yellow and a big splash of scarlet. Looks as though there's plenty of grubs and insects to eat. There's another one on a perch. He sways about a bit, doesn't he? And that's the sound he makes. It's a bit squeaky, isn't it? There's another one, swaying backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Bit difficult to clean your feathers up there. There's another kind of blackbird. It has a bright yellow head. Can you guess what it's called? A yellow-headed blackbird. Well, he's got a squeaky voice too. When he's not swaying from the top of tall reeds, he's searching for grubs and insects in the thick bed of fallen reeds. Doesn't take long to paddle through the reeds, and soon the canoe is out into clear water again. And Lenny's seen something else. It's very strange, silky white, about the size of a football, and it seems to be growing from the tree. There's something wiggling. It's a nest, a caterpillar's nest, and it's made of fine silk. There's a caterpillar on the way to work. Wiggly, isn't he? Wiggle, 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 wiggle. When a caterpillar grows up, it turns into a butterfly or a moth. But first, they have to eat a lot of food. And their favorite food is a nice, juicy leaf. Watch how quickly this one chews away. Think he hadn't eaten for a week. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Gobble, 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 gobble. Gobble, 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 gobble. His jaws must get tired. farmers don't like caterpillars very much because they do so much damage. They eat away at cabbages, lettuces, and sometimes a whole field will be eaten away in just a few days. Some caterpillars are covered in a coat of soft, hair-like spines. These spines help to protect him from his enemies. Oh, that was a long climb. You just think how many leaves all those caterpillars could eat in a day. That's all that's left after just one had eaten his breakfast. Whose tail is that? It's a bit like a very large tortoise. It's called a turtle, a snapping turtle. He's quite big as a suitcase. The back of the turtle is very hard, and it's called a shell. And when he's afraid, he tucks his head, feet, and tail right inside. This one is called a snapping turtle because he snaps out with his mouth. He can live on land or water, and he uses those feet as paddle. Some snapping turtles are very old. They can live for more than 100 years, but they're very slow, and they move around like old men. Oh. 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 It's time to go now. It'll soon be dark. There's plenty more to see another day along the trail.